welcome back, guys. I know we took a week off. We've had a very full schedule as of late.
Yeah, guys, we went to a seminar.
Yeah,
or a summit, seminar, whatever you want to call it.
Podcast summit. The Black Podcast Summit.
That was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. We got to meet some really cool people. Networked around a little bit and learned a lot of interesting things that honestly we just never really thought about.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout as we try to take what we learned from the summit and kind of apply it to our podcast now. So you may see some changes and whatnot.
Some
going
really
around.
Cool changes too.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for them.
So be on the lookout of that. We're definitely looking to be much more active on Instagram, things like that. And with that, we're also going to be officially starting our TikTok.
Oh, woo!
So if you're kind of more into a quick 15, 30-second synopsis of a case, or if you just casually use TikTok, we would greatly appreciate your support over on that new platform for us.
That's going to be a lot to learn.
It's going to be a lot to learn. I don't know how technology works anymore. So yeah, we would greatly appreciate any sort of follows or support over on that platform. You can find us over there at What Sleep Podcast.
Yeah.
So definitely be on the lookout for that. And on top of that, I think right now we're kind of seriously talking about going to CrimeCon this year.
I want to go so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
So that would be in June. If you're a longtime listener, you probably heard us mention that in the past on one of our previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely looking to kind of get ourselves out there, and we think CrimeCon is literally one of the best ways to do that.
On top of it's super interesting. It's like right up our alley too. And
oh yeah,
it'd be cool to I haven't been to a convention in a while, or gone outside in a while.
Right.
But I get my vaccine this week, so that's cool.
That's gonna. Bailey over here is signed up for that COVID-19 vaccine.
I'm very excited to not be stressed out, anymore.
Oh yeah.
Which means that also we won't be doing any more
remote recordings.
So I don't sound like I'm in a wind tunnel half the time. Sorry about that, guys. But safety first, blah blah blah. But I'm really excited to get back and be able to record, in one place and reduce the workload that we've got on us just from remote recording. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, who knew that remote recording would literally add so much extra work?
Yeah, it's not so bad. We do this for you guys. We got it.
Oh yeah,
we're just tired.
Anything else really? I guess to kind of go off of that whole CrimeCon thing, while we're there, we'll definitely be kind of recording our experience as we're there.
Yeah.
Which we will be posting to our Patreon.
Yes.
Kind of a neat little segue to kind of promote our Patreon. So if you haven't already checked it out, we do have a Patreon where you can support us further than just a listen, like, and follow and whatnot.
Which does help us. We appreciate that so much.
Yeah. Completely optional, but we greatly appreciate anybody who does decide to support us monetarily. And with it, you do get some great benefits, such as kind of that behind the scenes content, such as us going to CrimeCon and things like that. You also get an exclusive episode every month. So, who doesn't want more content? And on top of that, you do get an extra 25% off our merch store. So that's a great deal, in my opinion. All that for just $5 a month.
A third of the price, or not a third of the price. What am I saying? 3/4 of the price. Math. The thing
math,
I'm not good
it's
at.
Hard. So if you do choose to, we would greatly support you checking that out.
Greatly appreciate
consider supporting us. You can find us on there at What Sleep Podcast as well. So with that, today we're going to be talking about the Golden State Killer.
I hate this
case
guy.
is the original case that I ever listened to that got me into true crime. Fun fact.
What was my first
thanks,
case?
Morbid.
I think one of my first cases from Morbid was it's actually a case I'm going to be doing soon. I was kind of going through like my, I've got just like a list of ideas written down, and I was like, oh, I need to like minimize this down. And I saw the name of the case I want to do. I just remember how insane. I'm just gonna tell you guys, it's Robert Ben Rhodes, and I just remember how absolutely insane this case was. And if you don't know anything about it, you're gonna learn about it because
stay tuned.
It's coming up. Yeah, I remember when I learned about the Golden State Killer. I think it was I think it was Case File that did it, where I listened to it. So it was all like that spooky vibe. And this was before all the recent stuff had happened. And I was like terrified. I'm like, this guy's still out there.
Right.
Terrifying.
Well, we'll definitely be getting into that whole thing. So just so you guys know, this will probably be a 2-parter. I do have a lot of notes.
Yeah.
So prepare your butts for that.
Prepare your butts. There's a lot to go
through.
So,
for those of you who don't know, the Golden State Killer was officially identified and arrested in 2018.
What?
Woo. So we actually know the identity. And with that, we actually got to learn a lot more about the Golden State Killer, his past, and things like that. So the Golden State Killer, also known as his official name, Joseph James DeAngelo.
Sorry if your name is also Joseph DeAngelo, but like
complete garbage human being. But he was born on November 8th in 1945 in Bath, New York, to Joseph James DeAngelo Sr., who was a sergeant in the United States Army, and his mother, Kathleen Louise DeGroat. He has 2 younger sisters and a younger brother, which is horrifying considering what he did to young women. And he happens to have 2 younger sisters.
Right. I don't know where the depravity comes from. I don't know what triggers. See, it's like that whole nature versus nurture, but people who are just nature, I mean, even a mix of the two, and anybody who even kind of falls into that nature category are scary. I don't know that he was ever abused. I mean, I'm sure you'll tell me, but what? Why?
So this is kind of where that nature versus nurture thing comes into play, though, because a relative did report that when DeAngelo was a young child, he did witness his 7-year-old sister. Forewarning, this does involve children being in bad situations. Yeah. So if you're not about that, I recommend probably skipping this.
Yeah.
But a relative reported that when DeAngelo was a young child, he witnessed his 7-year-old sister's rape by 2 airmen in a warehouse in West Germany.
I didn't know that. That is horrifying.
Yeah. This is where his family was stationed at the time.
Did you say in a hangar?
In a warehouse.
In a warehouse? Where was their parents? Why were they there?
Because his father was a sergeant in the United States Army.
Right.
So he got stationed over in Germany. Now, why his 7-year-old sister is in a warehouse or whatever, I don't know the whole specifics behind it.
Either way, it's horrifying. That is awful.
Being kind of exposed to that at a young age, I guess you can kind of argue that nature versus nurture thing, but still doesn't excuse what this monster did. Not.
Yeah.
And then also what those 2 airmen did. Y'all are garbage as well. Also following that, after his conviction, one of DeAngelo's sisters claimed that he was abused by their father while he was growing up as well. Again, the whole nature versus nurture thing.
Yeah. Still
doesn't excuse it, but he didn't exactly have the best examples.
Right.
Between the years 1959 and 1960, DeAngelo attended Mills Junior High School in Rancho Cordova, California. And beginning in 1961, he attended Folsom High School, from which he actually received a GED certificate in 1964. So he never really technically completed high school.
Right.
He played on the school's junior varsity baseball team, and prosecutors reported that D'Angelo committed burglaries and tortured and killed animals during his teenage years.
As you do.
As is kind of the typical serial killer MO.
Red flag. Probably taken to a therapist, a psychiatrist, like anybody.
Literally just any form of help.
Not normal for, a child, a teenager, anybody.
So, shortly after he got his GED, D'Angelo did join the United States Navy and served for about 22 months during the Vietnam War as a damage controlman on the cruiser USS Canberra. Sorry, I'm probably destroying that. And also the destroyer tender USS Piedmont. And beginning in August 1968, D'Angelo attended Sierra College in Rocklin, California. And he did graduate with an associate degree in police science with honors.
Okay. So not
this
a dumb
could also
guy.
kind of explain.
I mean, we know he's not a dumb guy after, everything that he did.
But here's the thing, though. We'll get into it.
There's so much to unpack.
Oh, for real. He attended Sacramento State University in 1971, where he earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. D'Angelo later took postgraduate courses and further police training at the College of the Sequoias in Visalia, and then completed a 32-week police internship at the Roseville Police Department. So he was pretty much a full-blown cop detective.
Yeah.
So he kind of knew the inner workings a little bit.
Which is, a really good place for a criminal.
Honestly.
Right on the inside.
I'm surprised that doesn't happen more. Well,
I mean, that we know of.
We just don't know. Yeah.
I think about that all the time. I'm always like, there's probably like hundreds of serial killers, because all the serial killers that we know of have been caught. They were.
I remember seeing a statistic / estimate. This was a while ago. I don't remember where exactly, but I think it said that it's estimated that there's 2,000 active serial killers in the entire United States. And right now,
we may only ever know about 10 tops.
Yeah.
Probably in the near future.
It's kind of scary.
It's very scary. That's why I have top-notch security system and
Noodle?
No, I have guards at my doors. Ain't nobody getting in here, so don't get any ideas. Also Noodle, though. My cat will mess you up.
Well, there was also that house that we looked at, too, that had literally a steel moat? Front door and a moat around the whole thing.
Okay, so that was made for zombies. Ain't nobody getting in there.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Anyways, back on topic.
We have a fun hobby where we look at $1 million houses that we'll never be able to afford.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's a great time, but at the end, it just leaves you disappointed.
Anyway.
From May 1973 to August 1976, he was a burglary unit police officer in a town of about 5,000 people called Exeter, which is near Visalia.
Okay.
Having relocated from Citrus Heights. He then served in Auburn from August 1976 to July 1979, when he was arrested for shoplifting a hammer and dog repellent, and he was sentenced to 6 months probation and then subsequently fired that October.
That's the one.
Could you imagine being a cop and getting fired for just stealing a hammer and dog repellent? Which I've never heard of dog repellent until this case.
Yeah. I think it's a normal thing for some cops to carry with them. So it's if you're in a hardware store and you're a police officer, he might have been a kleptomaniac or something, or maybe just didn't want the record, but it wouldn't look weird for him to have bought dog repellent or just a hammer,
right.
A rookie mistake, I would say. Not
maybe
that I know how to kill
pay
people,
for it. I don't know. During the process of being fired from the city, D'Angelo threatened to kill the chief of police and allegedly stalked the chief's house.
Nice.
So
As you do.
In May of 1970, D'Angelo became engaged to Bonnie Jean Caldwell, a classmate at Sierra College, but she broke off the relationship after D'Angelo threatened her with a gun in order to force her to marry him.
Oh, Bonnie.
Yeah.
That's
He
just
dodged
like
a bullet on that one.
yeah, for sure. Dodged a literal bullet on that one. And it's I love that this was solved, because you guys know me. I hate unsolved cases,
But they're so fun.
it's so I've never had the experience of, like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people haven't, but of hearing of a story and like having that in your brain for years and years, and then all of a sudden it's been broken and you get all of those mysteries like resolved. And Bonnie was one of those things for me. It's like who's mommy, or is he saying Bonnie, or is he saying Bunny? And that's just one of those things. Every time I hear about Bonnie, I'm just like, yes, Bonnie. I know what happened.
We all know. In November 1973, he married Sharon Mary Huddle in Placer, which is now known as Loomis.
That's it. Is it a town?
It is a town.
Oh, okay. Why'd they change their name?
Why not?
I guess.
I mean, it's a weird name for a town. Placer. You know?
Yeah, I guess. Did you say it was Loomis?
Yeah, Loomis.
Is it like Lumos?
Loomis.
Dang it. I was like, I want to move there. It's like the Harry Potter Lumos. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, not really.
What?
It's not that cool.
I think it's cool.
I'm talking about this town's name.
Oh,
it's not that cool compared to that.
Okay, I was about to be really offended.
I know how much you like Harry Potter.
Yup.
In 1980, they purchased the house in Citrus Heights, where he was eventually arrested. Huddle became an attorney in 1982, and they had 3 daughters. 2 were born in Sacramento, and 1 was born in Los Angeles before the couple separated in 1991. In July 2018, Huddle finally filed for divorce, and they were officially divorced in 2019.
Get him.
Now, why she didn't divorce him after they separated, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure. I mean, there's like lots of things that get tied into marriage. It's not just like we're married now.
Also,
I'm sure it was like taxes.
I can't imagine finding out that your dad did all of this crazy stuff to other women just like you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's insanity.
It's this whole thing is, and I think she got the wife, didn't she get like a lot of flack for it, like right after it happened? Like people were like, why didn't you know? Why didn't you separate? Or like, why didn't you divorce him right after he got arrested? It's like, well,
I mean,
I get it.
I mean, there's that whole innocent till proven guilty thing,
Yeah.
And as we'll find out later on, I mean, there were other suspects in this whole thing. So, could have just been a coincidence like some of these other people. But, you never really know. You want to.
Until we do. And we do.
Right. Until we do. But you always want to believe in the best of people that, you're kind of in a close relationship with.
Yeah.
If you're married to somebody and, they get arrested or whatever on charges of murder, you don't necessarily believe that they have the capability of murdering people. So
I mean, well, he pretty much just walked out and was like, all right, this is it. I'd have been like, what? You got something you want to tell me?
Right.
Crazy.
So I don't blame her or anything like that,
Yeah. Oh no, I don't blame her at all. It's just crazy. I could never imagine being in that position.
I don't want to ever be in that position. So D'Angelo's employment history in the 1980s is relatively unknown. Really, the only thing we have after that is in 1990 until his retirement in 2017. He worked as a truck mechanic at a Save Mart supermarket distribution center in Roseville.
Okay.
He was arrested in 1996 over an incident at a gas station, but the charge was dismissed. His brother-in-law said that D'Angelo casually brought up the East Area rapist in conversation around the time of the original crimes. Right. It was reported that D'Angelo frequently engaged in loud, profane outbursts. And one neighbor reported that his family received a phone message from D'Angelo threatening to, quote, deliver a load of death because of their barking dog.
Oh.
And he was living with a daughter and granddaughter at the time of his arrest, by the way.
Yeah. Ugh, I hate this guy.
Also, that's just a really weird threat. I will deliver a load
Yeah.
of death.
I mean, if you're not a serial killer and if you don't actually make good on that promise, that's kind of a cool like threat. You know what I mean? Not a cool threat.
I
Threats
will
aren't
deliver
cool.
a load of death,
Yeah.
throw some like aviators on, and slowly walk away as an explosion happens in the background.
Like if I'm pouring myself a cup of water and I get a little bit of water, like I drop some water on the floor, I'm gonna look at the water splash and be like, I will deliver a load of death unto you, and then walk away.
I will deliver you unto your maker.
Like I'm not saying I'm not saying go out and threaten people with really creative threats, but like minor inconveniences are what I threaten.
It's always the minor inconveniences that sting the worst.
It does, because it's like, why did this even have to happen? Now I have to spend time cleaning this up. Like, really? It'll just evaporate. Just leave it there. It's fine. It's just water.
It'll just evaporate in time.
No, I hate that because but my toes get cold, so I walk around with socks a lot, and if there's water on the floor.
But now imagine in that $11 million house, it's got heated floors.
Quick evaporation. Oh my God.
Bruh.
That'd be so amazing. Anyway, sorry.
It was long suspected that the training ground of the criminal who became the East Area rapist was Visalia, California. Although earlier Visalia crimes dating back as early as May 1973 and other sprees like that of the Cordova cat burglar, which is often kind of connected to D'Angelo. And no, they did not steal cats.
Obviously, my first thought.
As well as burglaries that took place after the McGowan shooting are now suspected to be linked as well. Over a period of 20 months, D'Angelo is believed to have been responsible for one murder and around 120 burglaries.
Crap. It's a lot.
This dude is busy.
Chill out. Just leave people alone.
Right.
I don't understand why you gotta be in other people's business.
Why not, I guess.
I'll never know. I'm not
never
a criminal.
know. In late April 2018, the Visalia chief of police stated that while there was no DNA linking D'Angelo to the Central Valley cases, his department had other evidence that played a role in the investigation, and he was, quote, confident that the Visalia ransacker has been captured. This town just has a bunch of different like burglaries, and they have these weird names for them.
I want to know who's in charge of naming them. I guess it's kind of the media.
It's usually the press.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into with some other cases, particularly one of yours that you're going to be doing.
Night Stalker.
Some of his nicknames are really dumb that some of the like magazines and newspapers gave him.
Oh boy. This is actually the other case. It's kind of linked to the Night Stalker because this is
the OG Night Stalker.
This is the original Night Stalker.
Yeah.
Eron's East Area Rapist, original Night Stalker. If you guys didn't know what Eron's was, kind of ties into my case a little bit. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there you go.
That's cool.
Though the statute of limitations for the burglaries have each expired, D'Angelo was formally charged on August 13, 2018 with the first-degree murder of Claude Snelling in 1975.
Thank God. A statute of limitations.
In 2020, D'Angelo finally pleaded guilty to actually murdering her.
I can't believe it took that long.
Yeah. So he actually tried to fight it for a solid 2 years and then eventually pled guilty.
Come on, dude. He makes me so mad.
Yeah, dude, this guy's annoying.
Filth.
So the first recorded ransacking was on March 19th, 1974, when a sum of $50 in coins was stolen from a piggy bank. Most of the ransackers' activities.
Sorry, let's not glide over that. There was a piggy bank with $15,000 worth of
$50.
Oh, continue. Sorry.
$50.
I was like, let's not glide over that.
Yeah. No.
Continue.
Most of the ransackers' activities involved breaking into houses, rifling through or vandalizing the owner's possessions. This is kind of weird. He would scatter women's underclothes and would often steal a range of low-value items while often ignoring like bills, like dollar bills and higher valued items that are in plain sight.
So I wonder, because my initial thought is like, bro, why? But then I think about like maybe he's trying to, because again, he was a cop, he was an investigator, so he might know. I don't know if profiling was a thing back then, but he
I
might.
mean, really the only profiling they would do is just, the MO of a particular thing,
Yeah,
which,
so I
people
wonder-
usually have a pattern.
Right, with the whole
But-
pattern thing, it's like I wonder if he was trying to do as much like weird, obscure things as he could, so that they couldn't really kind of pin down a consistent MO,
Maybe.
or whatever. Because I mean, yeah, he did have a bunch of different names because he did a bunch of different like weird things. I don't know. I wonder if that's a thing.
Yeah, but like then he would do weird stuff like this where he would just rearrange or display things in the house.
Like what?
So like he would take items that he emptied, like piggy banks and coin jars, simple things like blue chip stamps, foreign or historic coins, and often just like a single earring, cufflink, or like a medallion. And he would just display them around the house. Like, look at what I could have taken, but didn't.
It's really weird.
Right.
I don't like this guy. I don't understand him, and he's gross.
So, and also apparently in this town, it's just very common to have your house ransacked. Because in one day, in 1974, November 30th to be exact, there was 12 separate incidents of ransackings in this town.
In one day?
In one day.
What is happening over there? Guys,
I don't know.
Message us.
Like,
what's going on?
We don't know if it was, the same guy or what. But, it did have a common MO. So the common MO was the fences would be scaled and moving through established routes such as parks, walkways, ditches, and trails. They would attempt to pry open multiple points of entry, particularly windows. They would also leave multiple points of escape open, like windows, garage doors, garden doors, and things like that. He would also remove window screens onto the beds. He would place, quote, warning items such as dishes or bottles against doors and on door handles. And he would always wear gloves. So there's never any fingerprints at these crime scenes.
So gross.
I do have an actual map of every single crime, any burglary, rape, or murder that this scumbag Joseph James D'Angelo did, which I will show you here. So you can kind of see that these crimes are usually clustered in a specific area, especially in the Sacramento region. So you can literally see it. It's literally clustered in kind of the main areas.
Yeah.
Now, later on, he would start, spreading them out and, kind of down a path. Like he would pretty much follow the main highway down.
Yeah. I mean, quick access to get away quickly,
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of makes sense.
So.
Planned.
Yeah.
I don't like it when they're smart. I don't like it when they're smart.
Right.
Grosses me out.
So on the 11th of September, 1975, D'Angelo broke into the home of Claude Snelling, who was 45 at the time, at 532 Whitney Lane, which is now South Whitney Lane or South Whitney Street. Sorry. Snelling, a journalism professor at the College of Sequoias, had previously chased a prowler discovered under his daughter's window around 10 p.m. on the 5th of February in 1975. And on September 11th, he was awakened around 2 a.m. by strange noises. Upon leaving his bedroom, Snelling shouted and ran through the open back door and confronted a ski-masked intruder in his carport.
I hate it. Can you imagine? Yeah. I cannot imagine.
No, I'm good.
That's horrible.
But he did confront a ski-masked intruder in his kind of driveway, attempting to kidnap his daughter.
No. I wanted to slam on my desk just now. I will refrain, but.
Which she had been subdued by threats of being stabbed or shot.
How old was his daughter?
16.
That's so sad. I didn't know he ever tried to kidnap anybody.
Yeah, he tried, but clearly it failed.
Yeah.
Snelling was then shot twice, staggered back into the house to his wife, and later died. After the shooting, the assailant fled the scene, leaving behind a stolen bicycle at 615 Redwood Street And after the murder, Beth Snelling, who the daughter, 16, she was also a cheerleader at Mount Whitney High School. She did undergo hypnosis in order to gather further details, which
that's so sad. That
really
poor
didn't
girl.
pan out. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Like, it really sucks. Just an awful human being decided to just take away a life from you like that.
She must have had a lot of guilt about it too, which, I mean, obviously she shouldn't have, but and imagine how long she had to live with that too, because they didn't catch him until much later.
Well, I hope the fact that, he's finally caught kind of brings a little bit of closure to her. Granted, it's like practically 40 years later, but, it's almost 50 years later. The Visalia Police Department also committed more resources to apprehending the ransacker and a $4,000 reward, which is actually equivalent to about $19,366 in today's money.
It's insane, the jump from only, 50 years ago to now?
Yeah. Well, that's inflation for you.
Except for pay.
That stayed exactly the same. Nighttime stakeouts were set up near houses that he had previously prowled, but the ransackings continued.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing he probably knew exactly what was going on too, because he probably still had access to
he probably knew
information.
Around 8:30 p.m. on December 12th of 1975, a masked man entered the backyard of a house at 1505 West, I'll butcher this, Kauai Avenue?
Sure.
Kauai Avenue, something like that, near where the ransacker had been reported to frequent. When Detective William McGowan, who was actually on a stakeout inside the garage, attempted to detain the man, the suspect shrieked, removed his mask, and feigned surrender after McGowan fired a warning shot. However, after jumping the fence to house 1501, he also pulled out a revolver with his left hand and fired once near McGowan's face, shattering his flashlight.
He was saved by his flashlight?
Essentially. The revolver was close enough to his face to shatter his flashlight. Yeah. So, yes.
That is scary.
Nearby officers rushed to aid McGowan, and the shooter was able to escape. Items collected as evidence included the flashlight, some tennis shoe tracks, and dropped loot, namely blue chip stamps and a blue sock full of coins. His typical MO. Yeah. D'Angelo moved to the Sacramento area in 1976, where his crimes escalated from burglary to rape. The crimes initially centered on the then unincorporated areas of Carmichael, Citrus Heights, and Rancho Cordova, which is east of Sacramento.
Yeah.
His initial MO was to stalk middle-class neighborhoods at night in search of women who were alone in one-story homes, usually near a school, creek, trail, or other open space that would provide a quick escape. He was seen a number of times, but always successfully fled. And on one occasion, he shot and seriously wounded a young pursuer.
Oh.
Essentially, don't be a hero.
Yeah, unless
you're defending yourself, then fight like a cornered dog.
Yeah.
But if he's running away from a scene of the crime and you're not a police officer, don't run after anybody.
That's horrible.
A better thing to do is to try and gather specific details about the person.
Or be super loud, so maybe more witnesses will look out their window and be like, I saw a guy's brown hair. Or what? He was blonde, wasn't he? I don't even know.
Oh.
He's gross.
Yeah. So most victims had seen or heard of a prowler on their property before the attacks, and many had experienced break-ins. Police believed that the offender would conduct extensive reconnaissance in a targeted neighborhood, usually looking into windows, prowling around in yards, before he would select a home to attack. It was believed that he sometimes entered the homes of future victims to unlock windows, unload guns, and plant ligatures for later use, which is actually confirmed to have happened. He would he would also just kind of eat their food too.
Yeah. I hate that about this case. I think that's what Richard Ramirez did too. I think whenever he committed his crimes, he would hang out in the kitchen for a little bit. He's so good. I hate people.
Probably. They're all gross.
So gross. It's just such a different level. It's you committed these horrifying crimes and you're just going to hang out in their house and eat their food.
Oh, yeah. But here's another kind of thing that kind of shows how committed he was to like his reconnaissance and his ability to figure out where everything is and whatnot. He would also like frequently like call future victims like months in advance just to learn their daily routines. Like, you know, what time they go to work, when they get home, do they take kids to daycare or whatever? And like he would specifically memorize these
put in
patterns.
work, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, I wonder how he picked. Was there like a specific, I guess, profile for people he would choose, like his victims? It would just be like.
So he would originally target women who were usually alone in their homes or with children.
Right.
Like that way there wasn't really any like man to kind of, you know.
Yeah, but it was never like a brunette woman.
No, it wasn't like a particular like appearance of women.
Okay.
It was just anything where he had the best chance of not getting attacked back, essentially. After a while of doing that, though, he did eventually prefer to attack couples where he would pretty much instantly kind of decommission the male to some extent.
Yeah. Yep.
His usual method was to break in through a window or use a sliding glass door and awaken the sleeping occupants with a flashlight, threatening them with a handgun.
Jarring. Probably blinding them too, so they can't, see his face.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, when you're in a deep sleep and suddenly there's like a bright flashlight in your eyes, you're going to be like, what in the world is going on? You know, you're not going to really comprehend what's happening.
Yeah.
So he had the best chance right there. And the second you see the gun, you know, you're going to be like, oh crap.
Yeah. Just like right when you wake up, it's like.
Yeah. So, you know, after this whole thing, victims were usually bound with ligatures. Most of the time he would use shoelaces from some of their shoes that he found, or he would actually bring them with him. He would then blindfold and gag them with towels that he ripped into strips. He would usually force the female victim to tie up her male companion before she herself was bound. And the bindings were often so tight that the victim's hands were actually numb for hours after being untied, and like purple too.
Wow.
After doing this, he would separate the couple, and he would usually stack a bunch of dishes on the male's back and threaten to kill everyone in the house if he heard them rattle.
Yeah.
He would then move the woman to the living room or some other nearby room and would rape her repeatedly, often for hours, which, like, in that situation, like, that's just the worst thing, you know, hearing this guy doing that to like your loved one. And
yeah, there's going to be a lot of dead silence on my.
Do I risk it and see if he like kills her and me or whatever? Or do I sit here and let this happen? You know, it's just a big conundrum that I wouldn't want to ever be in.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what kind of things were going through their heads during this whole thing.
I really hope you never be in that position. I don't know if I could handle it. I would literally lose my mind.
Oh, yeah.
It's a horrifying thing. That's like nightmares.
Oh, yeah. Like, this is an event that literally sticks with you for the rest of your life. This literal human garbage would also spend hours in the home ransacking closets, drawers. Like we said before, he would eat the food in the kitchen. He would drink their beer.
Gross.
Continue to rape the woman again and again, or make additional threats.
That's so exhausting for the victims. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's. Ugh.
Because you just don't know, like, what's he going to do? When's he going to leave? You know, like, if I do something wrong, is he going to kill me?
Is he going to kill me anyways?
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, in that situation, you just don't know. Victims sometimes thought he had left the house before he, quote, jumped from the darkness. So they would think he would leave. Like, he would just disappear for a while. And then right when they think they're safe, he would like reappear. He typically stole items, often personal objects and items of little value, but occasionally cash and then also firearms. He would then creep away, leaving victims uncertain if he had left. He was also believed to escape on foot through a series of yards and then use a bicycle to go home or to a car, making extensive use of parks, schoolyards, creek beds, and other open spaces that kept him off the main streets.
Mm-hmm. It's just too smart, too gross.
The rapist operated in Sacramento County, from the first attacks in June 1976 until May about 1977. After a 3-month gap, he struck in nearby San Joaquin County in September before returning to Sacramento for all but one of the next 10 attacks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
The rapist attacked 5 times during the summer of 1978 in Stanislaus and Yolo counties before disappearing again for 3 months. Attacks then moved primarily to Contra Costa County in October and lasted until July 1979.
Wow. I wonder where he would go, like what he did.
I'd assume probably try and...
reconnaissance maybe, you think?
That, maybe try to keep up his, typical life at home. Make sure that no one there gets suspicious of him or something.
That's true.
I don't know. A young Sacramento couple, Brian Marjorie, a military policeman at Mather Air Force Base, and his wife, Katie, were walking their dog in the Rancho Cordova area on the night of February 2nd, 1978, near where 5 East area rapist attacks had occurred.
This makes me really sad.
Around this time, the Golden State Killer was kind of separate from the East area rapist, but, later on they were, confirmed to be the same thing. So if you hear me say East area rapist, I'm really talking about the Golden State Killer. The Marjories fled after a confrontation in the street, but were chased down and subsequently shot to death. Some investigators suspected that they had been murdered by the East area rapists because of their proximity to the other attacks' locations, and a shoelace was found nearby. Now, the FBI announced on June 15, 2016, that it was confident that the East area rapists had murdered the Marjories. On June 29, 2020, D'Angelo entered a plea of guilty to those murders.
Good.
So,
good.
I'm glad that he did finally admit to that, but it's an awful case, and
it won't bring him back, but it's
like, she was so pretty. He was just a really good military guy, just doing his thing, trying to live a normal life, and then this absolute scumbag of a human being just takes that away from them.
Like, there's no instance where you should, like, you have the right to take somebody's life. Like, I hate all these people because, or like a lot of serial killers, because they're like, I just wanted to know what it feels like. So you're going to take somebody's life for a curious feeling, or like you think that
like
they
a cheap
deserve,
thrill.
Yeah, like a cheap thrill. It's like, go to a theme park, go get on a roller coaster if you want some excitement. Like, you don't need to literally take somebody's entire existence because you wanted to try it. Like, come on, so gross.
It's believed that this original murder was his first time experiencing murder.
Yeah.
And it's kind of also guessed that around this time is when he got the taste for killing, because shortly after this whole event, D'Angelo moved to Southern California, and this is when he began to kind of regularly kill his victims.
Right.
His first striking was in Santa Barbara County in October. The attacks lasted until 1981, with a random lone attack in 1986.
Okay.
Only the couple in the first attack survived, alerting neighbors and forcing the intruder to flee. The other victims were murdered by gunshot or bludgeoning. Since D'Angelo was not linked to these crimes for decades, he was known as the Night Stalker in the area before being renamed to the original Night Stalker after serial killer Richard Ramirez received the former nickname.
Also a gross man.
Oh, yeah. So I do have a lot, kind of like a time lapse of his kind of crimes and murders, which we will go into in the next episode.
Yeah. I am not ready for it. I have to go through it. I'm sorry.
It's a lot. Honestly, it really is a lot. This guy is the literal definition of scum.
It's almost worse having to know what his face looks like.
Yeah.
It's just...
But it's kind of good to know that he's caught finally.
I'm really glad he's been caught, and I'm really glad he's finally serving. What bothers me is that he got to live to such an old age,
Yeah, he got caught when he was 75.
And it's like he got to live his whole life before, finally having to pay for what he's done. And he's not even going to pay for what he's done in my opinion, he's not going to pay fully for what he's done. You know, he's not. I mean,
Yeah.
the only solace I have, he's going to die in prison. So not an ideal death.
Not an ideal death, but he definitely deserves worse.
I want him to suffer more.
At least, he's caught and he's not going to die a free man.
Yeah.
So I do hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for part 2 coming out later this week, where we will go over more of his, I guess, spree of killings and burglaries and things of that sort.
Joseph stuff.
So definitely stay tuned for that. And we will catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye.